Welcome boys and girls. In today's video we're going to be installing a Spartan torque locker into the carrier for our front Dana 60 axle for the Overland SquareBody build. It should be a pretty straightforward and easy install, so let's get into the parts and then into the install. So I did open up the box earlier just to make sure all the parts were in there and we are good to go. With the instruction manual, it has instructions for standard carriers like this, plus instructions for Suzuki Samurais and Toyotas. So you should be good to go with this instruction manual. And it does come with this bag of parts with the springs, the plungers for the locker, the holder clips to help hold these in place, and then a roll pin. My carrier came with a threaded part that should be in place of the roll pin, so I am good to go there. And all the parts came in great shape. I just used some brake cleaner to clean off any of the oil or anything like that. But I'll take these parts out of the box, throw them on a rag, and then from there we can start getting it together and throw it into the carrier. So the first thing I did was just get everything out of the box, and I threw it into this magnetic tray and kind of sorted it. I don't really need that roll pin, so I'll put that to the side. And then from there I took each plunger and I just took the spring and stuck it right in the bottom. And then from there, on the locker itself, you could see there is those little holes right there, and the only hole you will need is the top one. So fish out one of these pins and take the plunger and the spring, set it in there, and then I'll hold the pin in place with my index finger and then just use both thumbs to push down the plunger. And now that is locked in place using the pin, holding down the plunger underneath the little lip itself. So the first step is do that to both sides, so those are held down, and then from there we could go on to installing it inside of the carrier. Well, I got both sides of the locker retained in with the plungers with the retaining clips, and since that is good to go, I kind of wanted to explain the carrier and the locker itself. With this carrier, I bought this as an open carrier with no spider gears and with 410 gears. With 410s, they're a little bit thinner of a ring gear compared to 456s, 488s, 513s, and everything up from there. So I do not have to remove my ring gear to install the cross shaft. But if you have to, what I would do is just make a witness mark between the ring gear and the carrier itself, and then pull the ring gear off, install the locker. Then when you throw it back on there, you have that witness mark to know exactly where to bolt up your ring gear again, so you don't have any issues needing to reset up your gears or anything like that. So now that I've been over that, let's get to installing the locker into this carrier. Well, let's get this locker installed in the carrier. First part is install this half of the gear with the splines and the teeth facing up. Make sure that is seated well. And then what you want is there is open, or the most open part of this spacer or washer or whatever this is, faces the teeth itself, just like that. So what we'll do, bring it on in there and get that set up. Ultimately you want it sideways like that because that's where the channel of the locker is to meet the hole for the cross shaft pin. But we will have it like that just for now. From there, take this half, bring it in there, hold it up in place with your other hand. Take this half of the locker, I don't know what I'm doing, I guess. Almost put it in upside down. Take it, put that washer in there, and then slide it on in. And from there, you gotta twist this side this way and this side this way. And as you can see, everything is all lined up. The washers are in the right spots, and then there's flats on the side of the locker that are in place, and then all around it you have these little cross pins. So what you would do from there is just take a pair of pliers, make sure everything is obviously good to go, check it out with a flashlight, make sure it is all good, and then from there make sure the plungers are lined up with the slots that are machined onto each half of the locker. And then from there, take a pair of pliers, pull out the pins, and then it will let those plungers go to pull it apart. And then from there, you can put your cross shaft in. But I will double check everything, and then we will pull out the pins and kind of see the somewhat final result. All right, so everything is looking great. The only issue I did see is that the spacers for each side that face the splines are kind of just falling in on each other. So it might be a little hard to get the hardened cross shaft in there. So I grabbed my little magnets on the telescoping sticks to possibly have to pull that up if the time comes to fish this cross shaft through. But everything else is good to go, so we're going to pull the pins on this this locker. There is 1/2, and then I will flip it around and pull the pins on this half. From there, it's good to go. Double checking it. Yeah, I will need to use the magnet to pull up the spacer for the top to then fish this cross shaft through. So let's try that really quick. Maybe the larger one will pull it in here a lot easier. All right, so what I have figured out with the cross shaft is get it up with the magnet, stick your finger in there into 1/2, and then go around to the other side and work it flat so it's completely flat in there. Then you take this cross shaft, push it in there, work it through, and boom, you are good to go. So this thing is a lifesaver. Reach it in there, lift up 1/2 of the spacer, stick your finger in there, hold it up, reach around, hold up the other half, and then from there you could fish the cross shaft through, and that should be good to go. I just got to get it lined up with the hole for this threaded part, and then from there I'm gonna hit this with some brake cleaner, just clean it up real well, and then I'll do some red Loctite on there and get it snug, and then we should be good to go on installing the locker. This is the 35 spline Spartan Locker for the front GM Dana 60, but just to let you guys know, I will have a link down below to the website I bought this from and some Amazon links if you wanted to purchase it through Amazon. It is an affiliate link, so I get a little bit of money back from it to no cost to you, and it will help out the channel. So I'd really appreciate it if you bought it through those links, but if not, I will have a link to East Coast Gear Supply down below in the description. But I will toss this in there, and then we should be good to go. All right, I got it all cleaned up, the threads, with some brake cleaner. I'll throw some red Loctite on there, and it's an 8mm. I don't have a 12-point socket for it. All I know is this should not be insanely tight, so I'm just gonna get it started with my fingers, and then I'm just gonna take my ratcheting wrench and tighten this down. I'll just get it as tight as I can with this little wrench, and we should be good to go from there. Then let it sit 24 hours for the Loctite, and then install it back into the vehicle, and you should have a locking diff for your rear diff, your front diff, any differential that this applies to. But we are good to go. we got a front locked axle. Once I get it built the rest of the way, we'll get it underneath the truck. And since we have the torque locker in the rear and the torque locker for the front, we will be plenty capable on any trail that we should hit. And the reason why they call these LunchBox lockers is, you know, I should have demonstrated that. It should you should be able to have it installed in a lunch break, I guess, if you had everything prepped out already. Plus it's small enough you could sneak it into work on your lunch break, you know, do some wrenching in the parking lot if you wanted. But that is the video, you guys. It's pretty straightforward install. All the parts were machined well, zero issues with that. I just cleaned them up with some brake cleaner since they are covered in a little bit of oil for rust protection. But we are good to go. I will have links to this down in the description, like I said, and I will see you guys in the next video. Please subscribe to the channel, comment down below if you run a Spartan Locker or if you are planning on in the future, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Bye, you guys.